Hey y'all. So today I'm going to be talking about Royce Reed and Dwight Howard. She has came out and exposed a lot of things about Dwight since he's gotten engaged to Amy Luciani. And yeah, she has a lot to say. I do have a few things that I think about this situation, but I'm going to let the video play and I'm going to talk about it. And shout out to the channel Impressive who made this video that I will be reacting to. So let's get started.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Impressive channel. The Basketball Wives reality star Royce Reed exposed the NBA player Dwight Howard, and she revealed some very disturbing details. Now, she started exposing Dwight off of the heels of his engagement to the rapper Amy Luciani. And I thought the timing was a little weird because I was like, wait a minute, why is Royce now trying to expose Dwight? But apparently she has been silenced for years and she is ready to tell her story. And I think Amy should pay close attention because some of the things that she said was highly disturbing.
Yeah.
Now, Royce started off her story talking about how she and Dwight met. They met in 2004 at a movie theater, and from there, their relationship progressed. Royce also used to dance for the Orlando Magic team, which was the same team that Dwight played for, and she found out that he was cheating on her. Surprise, surprise.
I audition for the team, I make it, yay me. And after a couple weeks, there's a couple girls that are just treating me weird, and I didn't know why. Well, I ended up finding out that he had cheated on me with one of my teammates who used to live in Texas, but now was coming to the Heat, and he had been trying to get both of us to not say anything.
After this, Royce did say that she broke up with Dwight, but he begged to get her back, and she went back with him and she ended up getting pregnant. And she did not want to be pregnant because she felt like it would affect her career, but she decided to keep their son. However, Dwight was not happy at all, and he put her through it when she was pregnant.
See, it be those signs that you get in the beginning that let you know, like, the red flags be there and people choose to ignore them. I don't know why. I guess that's just part of life. But a lot of people ignore the red flags in the beginning of a relationship, and then things don't turn out right. And they feel, bad and they come complain. But why do people ignore those signs? Those are things that's there to protect you. Those signs are there to, if you pay attention and make your decision based on those red flags, you wouldn't find yourself in situations like she did.
So now it's time to tell Superman that he is having a baby. And as you can imagine, that message was not received well. And I was met with a bunch of, oh, you're tarnishing my image, you're ruining my career. I'm a Christian, what I look like having a baby, and I'm trying to put the cross on the NBA logo. How could you do this to me? You're a gold digger. Oh yeah, I was hit with everything, y'all. Like I didn't have a career. But because none of those changed my mind, he then hits me with, and I have a girlfriend. Okay.
See?
I've always had a girlfriend. Oh, wow. Okay, so now...
No, it's not, oh, wow, because at the end of the day, you just said, well, it was just said a little bit ago that he was not only dating you, he was dating another girl that was on your team, and you knew about that. So then what made you think that he was going to change? Like, it's not wow. You ignored the red flags, and then the BS started.
I'm realizing, y'all, that not only is this person a completely different person than I thought he was, but I've realized that he is a master manipulator, and he will do any and everything to get exactly what he wants. I didn't fall for it, and because I didn't fall for it, I was then met with hell on earth. When I was about 4 or 5 months pregnant, I was asked to attend a meeting at a restaurant right around the corner from my townhome. And in this meeting is his manager, his cousin, himself. I am then offered money. I'm asking what the money is for. I'm thinking that maybe it's to help me with my pregnancy. No. I was asked to move away and say that this baby was not his.
Wow.
Twice. I declined. They got angry. And every time I did anything, I was met with false accusations. I was threatened. But I still was getting threatened. I was still receiving anonymous messages on MySpace and Twitter. And I didn't know what to do.
Now, after Royce gave birth to their son, Royce said that the son would sometimes spend time with Dwight, And she claimed that Dwight and his girlfriend at the time were purposely not feeding her son the right food, and he would get sick every time he would come back home to her.
The reason my child was returned super colicky, sick, throwing up, all these things, only to then be told it was because they were purposely giving him food that was opposite of what he was eating. I would pack a bag and I would have it listed of what he should be eating for lunch, for dinner, all these things. And he was intentionally given the opposite. So when he would be returned home, he was sick, colicky, throwing up, having to go to the hospital. When I confronted the situation, I was told that that was a lie and that it was only done because they thought I was trying to micromanage, and they decided that they were just going to give him whatever they wanted to give him.
That is pretty crazy, but it gets even crazier. Now, Royce did end up going back to Dwight in 2009 after he broke up with his girlfriend. Dwight actually wanted her back. Once he found out that she was dating somebody else, he wanted to get her back, and she decided to go back to him because she wanted to keep their family together, which is understandable, but it was a big mistake because he put her through it once again.
Yes, that be the part that is just so strange. The women that continue to go back, and it only gets worse and worse every time. Why do people go back? I know people going to come in the comments and say, well, you don't know, people do. I get it, but that's just part of the problem. Like, at the end of the day, you got to stop doing that. If you get signs that something is wrong, stop continuing to go back. Some people just not going to change. And you can't keep going back hoping that they change.
Is forced to do things sexually that I did not necessarily agree with. But because I wasn't that experienced, I thought it was normal. And I never complained about it. That's when things started turning verbally and physically and also mentally abusive. I was told that I was stupid. I was told that nobody would ever want me. I was told that everybody here loved him and hated me. And how does it feel to have my hometown turn on me? I better not ever leave him. If I left him ever, he would make my life a living hell. And he did.
That's messed
There were
up.
days that I would be at his home and I was threatened with a knife, and then it was laughed off. But when the knife was in my face, it was, I could kill you right now and get away with it because I could claim self-defense and they would believe me and not you, because who are you?
Royce also detailed some other moments where Dwight was physically aggressive to her.
He grabs my hair and he forces me to the floor. And he's like, who the are you talking to? He throws me into the entertainment center. When he threw me into the entertainment center, it broke the door. So I was flung into the one on the right. And our son, who was grabbing him and like thinking he was playing, he then flung him into the other door. I do not think that was intentional. I don't think he knew his own strength, but that's what he did.
Listening to this is wild.
That is insane. And the crazy part is, she wasn't done reconciling with this guy. Even after getting away from him after that happened, she continued. She went back. You guys gonna hear that in a second. And it's just crazy that this happens. Especially, like, it's one thing for me to accept certain things, but when it comes to my kid, like, come on, no, absolutely not. And it do seem suspicious that she's coming forward, because if you guys have seen Basketball Wives from the beginning, back when Royce was on the show, this is not her first time complaining about things that he did to her. So I remember her complaining about him on the show and the things that she went through with him. So, and that was many years ago. So, like, her coming forward with this story and refreshing it and telling it all over again now that he got engaged, it do kind of make you look with a side eye, like, why are you coming back talking about this again? Because you haven't been saying anything and you guys haven't been together. So what is the point of coming to say anything? And now you're talking, now that he's engaged. It do look a little suspicious, but let me keep going.
It's crazy. He's crazy. Now, Royce said she wanted to leave him when he forced her to have relations with him.
The day that I really wanted to leave was a day where I did not want to have relations
Hold
with
on, let me
him.
stop it right there, really quick, really quick. Now you're about to describe a day that you really wanted to leave. Your son getting hurt should have been that day. That should have been the day that you really wanted to leave and not ever return. Why did you continue to stay with him after your son get hurt in the midst of y'all altercation? That would have been it for me.
And he then forced me to give him fellatio.
Now, the most disturbing thing about this story is what happened to their son. Now, Royce claims that Dwight had a nanny who was very sketchy and untrustworthy, and she suspected that this nanny did something to the son when he was very little. And it later on came out that this nanny was harming children, and Royce claims that Dwight covered it up and paid her off. And this is just really sad because the nanny should have been reported to the police.
Yeah.
But Royce did say that Dwight and his family do have a history of covering things up and kind of using religion to justify brushing things under the rug, which is not biblical at all. If somebody does something wrong, you're definitely supposed to speak up about it.
Exactly.
But Dwight didn't do that. And honestly, I believe Dwight was hiding something. I think there's more to this than just him covering up what the nanny did. Like, I'm not going to say what I suspect, but I just feel like he's hiding his tracks in something. It's either that or he didn't want to lose custody and he didn't want to be seen as an unfit parent. But Royce was the one who got the backlash in all of this. When it came to her parenting, she got the backlash because some years ago, her son got in trouble for having an inappropriate interaction with another child. And she was actually arrested for child neglect. So she was seen as the unfit parent in all of this, but the son learned that behavior from somewhere. And obviously he was exposed to some things under Dwight's roof. And
that's the reason why, you have to be careful what you expose your children to, especially off the strength that you guys had a toxic relationship. And that should have been enough for you to walk away, because now, as the years go on and your child is getting older, he was starting to display questionable behavior. And I think that, you walking away would have saved him from that. It's possible. So I'm not trying to blame her for anything. I'm just saying this is just a prime example why it's important to protect these children and make sure that you're not putting them in the midst of BS.
Dwight had a lot of things going on in his home, a lot of freaky things. Royce even talked about some of the drug-filled parties that he had, and his son was there. And she even experienced one of these parties during quarantine because Dwight reconciled with her and invited her over. And this was around the time when he lost one of his baby mamas named Melissa Rios. She died in 2020. So he was feeling vulnerable and he tried to reconcile with Royce. Royce did say that she stayed at his house a couple of days with her son, and she witnessed this wild drug-filled party that he had. And she even alleged that he was acting a fool at one of those Diddy parties.
He knows that the real shit about...
Okay, let me stop it right there. See, that's when I'm really questioning some things and it just don't seem right. I'm sorry. I feel sorry for what she's went through. I do believe what she is telling people or what she's reporting. And with that being said, everything in this video is alleged. But I do believe her story. Sad part is, why did you go back in 2020? Because the stuff you're alleging happened many years ago. If y'all remember the video that we was just looking at when she was talking a few minutes ago, that was in 2009. And she was telling her story then. But now it's 2020. And so your son is older now. Why are you trying to reconcile with him after alleging all these things that he did? Why are you trying to reconcile? Because she's not even done, y'all. She's about to talk about some other stuff that happened that was horrible to her son when he was little. And you can only imagine what that is, because you're about to hear it in a minute. So why did you go back in 2020? You was long gone away from this man. And so now that he's getting engaged, you come out to tell everything, when if that's the case and you truly believe that, why did you go back in 2020 is what I'm questioning that. Because now it seemed like, of course, you want to believe everything she's saying. I do believe her. I'm not saying I don't. I do believe her. I feel like she's one of those people that also was sweeping stuff under the, or like trying to keep everything on a hush. Because why would you go back and even consider reconciling with this man in 2020 if over 10 years ago he did all these things and these things happened to your son, which you guys is about to hear her say that her son did get the M word happen to him for 5 years straight when he was, young. So then why did you try to reconcile with him in 2020? Don't that sound a little bit suspicious and strange? That sounds strange to me. I'm sorry, I have to question that. So if you knew these things was happening, why was you even willing to even be around or get back with his daddy if you know these things happened? I'm sorry, y'all. I have to question the things that don't sound right. I don't care how much we want to believe someone. You still have to question the things. You can't just act like it's not there. Why would she want to get back with this man when she been separated from him for so many years? Why would she even consider that if he did all these horrible things that she's about to say? Let's keep going.
About him is coming out. Ask him about Ray Edwards and their parties. Ask him about the red dress that he wore during a Diddy party.
Okay, you knew that in 2020. And why you wiping your nose?
I know too much. And the reason I'm talking now is because it's...
Yeah, I'm sorry. When somebody sniff and wipe their nose like that, it looks very strange and suspicious to me. What is you sniffing and wiping your nose for? What you got going on? Just want to ask.
Something happens to me. Y'all know why. This is the person who has had me followed before. And I don't know if I'm going to get through 2025. I'm not going to take myself out, but somebody else might. And I mean that. As dramatic as it may seem, I mean that. There's a lot of shit that has gone on. I can even name the name Zachary Timms. There's a lot of shit that goes on that's hidden.
Now, I will say I don't want Royce speaking that negativity over her life. But I do understand that she is fearful, so she feels the need to speak out now. And I think it's interesting that she mentioned the name Zachary Timms, because Zachary Timms was a pastor who passed away from a drug overdose. So I do wonder what Dwight's affiliation is with him and why she brought that up. That's very interesting. I don't know. Even though all of this is alleged, it does make me wonder. Dwight has been caught up in some stuff. I do remember a while back, he was actually sued by a man named Stephen.
Okay, hold on. When it comes to that pastor that passed away from the overdose, she insinuated, because there is a video of her talking about that. And the way she said it, it was like insinuating that Dwight probably has something to do with this guy's passing off the strength. She says she has proof that Dwight was with him the day that he passed, or the next day, or the day before, something like that. And she has proof of that. So it was like insinuating that he possibly has something to do with that. And she knows she insinuated that. So that's what I'm saying. Like this, trying to get back with him in 2020 don't make sense. If you knew all these horrible things about him, why would you even consider reconciling, spending the night with him, being at his house, anything in 2020 during the quarantine? Why? It just don't make sense.
Harper, I believe, Stephen Harper, he invited Stephen to his home to have relations with him, and Dwight ambushed him by inviting another man in the room dressed as a woman wearing a wig and kitten heels. And Stephen was horrified. He did not expect this. He did not want this. And unfortunately, he was kind of pressured into doing some things, and it was a very traumatizing experience for him. And he felt too intimidated to speak up. And also, there was another person named Mason who claims that Dwight would attend some freak off parties, and he preyed on him and tried to threaten and intimidate him into signing an NDA. which is what he did with Royce. You know, he pressured Royce to sign an NDA too. And the NDA did expire, which is why she is speaking out now. Some people say she's speaking out because she's bitter that he's newly engaged. But Royce says that there has been some things happening behind the scenes that she is tired of, and she's ready to expose everything. And boy, oh boy, did she expose a lot.
I did start paying attention to certain things. I did start paying attention to certain traits. I did start paying attention to what he was telling me versus what was being done. So his sister...
Okay, hold on. When did you start doing that? Like, I do believe her story. I do believe it. But it's still very strange that she wait till now to tell this story. Talk about how you tried to reconcile with him back in 2020 after knowing all these things about him. That's just what make it seem so strange, y'all. What do y'all think about that? Make sure y'all tell me in the comments. Yeah, I believe her story. I believe everything she's saying. But then why would you try to reconcile with him? What does that say about you?
And him coming on my live yesterday and commenting, and I'm so happy I didn't see it because I was just so into speaking. I'm so happy I didn't see it because had I probably would have said a lot more, such as their older brother molesting them. Okay? I'm just gonna put it out there. And y'all might be like, oh my God, did she just say that? Yes, the fuck I said it, because the same thing happened to my son for 5 years and nobody did shit. Okay?
But you knew that in 2020 when that happened to your son all them years ago. And you entertained reconciliation. So if he had asked you to marry him, would you have been up here telling his story? If he had asked you? Because my thing is, people be hiding stuff and then they don't tell until it's a convenient time to tell. I know she been telling the stories of things that he's done over the years. I know that. But she continued to keep going back. And then even all these years later, now I can see like, okay, around that time she was foolish, kept going back and was, he had a man warped into thinking that there will be a change or some way they'll be together happily. Okay, that happens. But it's all these years later. Your son is older now. Why would you even consider going back to him and entertaining that? That wasn't even that long ago. And the stuff that you're alleging happened many years ago. So I'm just saying, I just can't get past that.
When you're dealing with a family who has had sexual assault and molestation in their family and they hid it, they went to church. Heal my son. Okay? And it was a half brother, so it wasn't the mother's son, it was the father's older son. The only time that brother went to jail was when he molested his own daughter. And she told. So for 5.5 fucking years, my child was molested. And I knew it.
Yeah.
I threatened the nanny. Well, let me not say threatened because like I said before, I promised her if I found out that she was doing something to my child, we're going to have a problem. When I found that out, what happened? I get ghosted, y'all. I now know nothing about what is going on in that house. And that's where I ended video 3. My child continued to come home. As he got older, he started stating certain things. Mind you, I am now in court because I'm refusing to let my child go over to his father's house. Wouldn't you as a mother, if you know that your child is being touched? After I made that threat, I was told very little about what was going on in the house. When I would call to check on my child, nobody would answer. My child is still being dropped off at home. And as I'm giving him baths, he's playing with himself. But in a way that's not like normal because I asked the doctor about it and I'm like, is it normal for them to do this, do that? And she's like, absolutely not. She's like, you need to start writing things down in a journal. Do I need to go get my journal? We now go to court because I'm denying visitation. We go to court and I got all this proof. I got stacks of paper and I can't really say too much because why? He got our case sealed. So in court, when I make the comment about my child is being molested, how dare you say that? This is Judge Timothy Shea. I will say his fucking name. Judge Timothy Shea. Okay? This man told me, how dare you make that accusation about Mr. Howard? How dare you do this? And if I ever hear you say anything like this again, I'm going to just change custody. I'm going to give custody to Mr. Howard 100%. What?
That is insane. Now that's, you hear about that happening. That happens in court. And it's a shame because a judge never should put their own personal beliefs and feelings in something and not take every accusation seriously. So that's really sad that happened. I'm going to cut it off here because this video is getting too long. If y'all want to go check out the full video, I will link it in the description. And it's from the channel Impressive. You can check it out there. But she goes on to continue talking about the things that happen between her and her child's father, Dwight Howard. And, I believe her story. I truly believe her story. She's been talking about this for a long time. She kind of did talk about this even when she was on Basketball Wives, some of the things that was going on and the issues they had. But the sad part is she continued to go back and and I know that happened in relationships, even abusive relationships. I know that type of thing happened with people, so I get it. But what I don't get is, how are you out of this relationship and it's all these years later and you're finally, away from this man and his BS, if this is what he's doing, and then in 2020 you would even consider going back to him. That is strange. I seen somebody else say that she was complicit in, the things that happened. It kind of make you, question that off the strength that you would even consider going back, even knowing the things that happened to your kid. Like, no, you don't put your own personal feelings first when it comes to a kid. If you choose and you decide as an adult to go through some stuff, that's your prerogative. But when it comes to children, there's no way, form, or fashion I will, and I'm not just saying me, anyone should allow anything to happen to a kid. That's when it's not about you anymore. So I don't know, y'all. I'm just giving my opinion, and I do believe her story. I just question that. I think it's a little bit strange, and I just don't know. What do y'all think? Do y'all think? Because there's a lot of people saying, oh, she's coming out now because she's bitter, she's jealous, this and that and the other. I do believe her story. It's just I question some of the decisions that she made. So tell me what y'all think in the comments. I am out. Until next time. Bye, y'all.